Hello folks, hope you're all doing well. It's an okay day today. It's a bit windy, it's a bit drizzly sometimes. It's not that warm, but you know what? It's Sunday morning and I'm up at the allotment, so let's be thankful for that. I've been down in London this week. It's been a busy week at work. I've been down in London. It was absolutely roasting down there. It was mid-20s, it was blazing sunshine, there was millions of people about, the underground was jam-packed, and I'm glad to be back up north where it's a little bit quieter. I'm in the allotment, I've got the green space and fresh air going on, and it's absolutely brilliant to be here. Anyway, what's on the agenda for today? Sweet corn. So it's time for the sweet corn to go out, and oh man, I've got a bit of a job ahead of us to get it sorted. So let me just spin you around here and show you this. So this is the area sort of around here where the sweet corn's going to go, and you can see it here in the root trainers, and it's looking absolutely brilliant. The sweet corn, they're great little plants, and it's a variety called Incredible F1, and it's looking absolutely tremendous. But this area sort of here that you can see is about the only bit left I've got on the plot where I can put stuff out. So I'm going to have to clear all these weeds down the side. I'm going to have to clear out all these pallets and things that I've got stored here up until where we've got part of a hole dug for the pond, and then get this it's going to have to be dug over. Actually, I have to dig it all over, loosen up the soil. Hopefully it's not going to be too bad under there. No doubt I'll find a million stones and whatnot. We'll get some weed fabric right along the edge there to sort of suppress the weeds along the edges, and eventually they'll be wood chipped, and there'll be some plants and things go out on there. And just over there where the pond is, under there, there's half a hole already dug for the pond, so that area will be kept separate as well. But that's going to be a bit of a job. But I guess there's no time like the present, and I should probably just get on with it. So I guess first things first is I'm going to clear this area. We'll clear out the weeds and what have you. I'm not going to film that, you don't need to see me doing that, and I'll come back to you when I'm ready to start getting the sweet corn planted out. Back with you in just a bit there. Well, just thought I'd give you a quick update. As you can see here, it is another delightful June day here in Scotland. The weather is lovely, but however, progress is progress, and we're slowly getting there. I've actually got my hat on today, not to protect me from the sun, but to stop my head from getting absolutely soaked. Anyway, let me show you where we are. So I've done a bit of clearing in this area here. If you remember, it was covered in old pallets and stuff like that. That's just been stored there for absolutely ages. So we've got a bit of a blank canvas. I've been through there with the swow and sort of chopped up all the weeds, but probably at least 12 inches, sort of, maybe it's a wee bit more along the side there. That's going to become a border, and we'll put some flowers and things along there. I'm going to use troughs and pots and things. I'm going to have the black weed fabric along there and the wood chips on top of it to make a bit of a path. Because as you can see, the edge of the plot here, we've got the path running up there and along here where people park their cars. It's a communal area, and the weeds can get a bit rife, so the edges are a bit dodgy in terms of seeds and things blowing in. But we have this big bit of weed fabric down here. It's been doubled over down there to the area where the pond's going to be. We've got the pallet on top there to stop me from falling into the hole that's underneath there where the pond's going to go. So that's just a bit of protection there, and that's all sort of fastened down. So that's going to hopefully keep the weeds at bay that are under there at the moment. So next thing for me to do is to get this edge finished off. Then I'm going to get this sort of square shape here all dug over, and I'll come to that in a little bit as to why I'm going to do it in a square shape for the sweet corn. Unlike everything else up here, as you can see, most of the other beds are traditionally sort of rectangular shapes, sort of long and narrow, so I can get into the middle beds and what have you. But the sweet corn's going to be different, but I'll come to that. Anyway, that's enough of me waffling on for the moment. I'm going to go and grab my fork, get that dug over, and enjoy some more of this splendid Scottish weather. Back with you. And there's a nice big splodge of rain on the lens, and I'll move my head over here just so you can see me. I'll be back in just a jiffy. So, in good news, the rain has stopped. Thankfully, at last we've got a bit of sunshine. It's good. It's still a bit cold, but not to worry. The jacket's off because it's absolutely soaked through, and the hat's away because it's wet as well. But this is done. So I've got a square-ish kind of shaped bit of bed here that's just been dug over. There's not a lot of nutrition in this. This has been covered over for the last 18 months or so while I've been working on other projects and bits and pieces down there. So I've given it a good scattering over with the bloodfish and bone, and that's been worked in as well. So I've dug it over with a fork. I've used one of those turny things, I don't know what its name is, to break the soil a little bit more after that. We've then gone over it with one of my absolute favourite tools, which is a tilling hoe, which gets a much nicer, finer tilt on the soil, and it looks much better. Then when the bloodfish and bone's been on, we've used the normal sort of Dutch hoe there, just to work that in afterwards, and that just helps break up the soil a little bit more afterwards as well. Anyway, on to our sweet corn. So we've got some rather wonderful looking plants there that are desperate, absolutely desperate to go out. They probably should have been out a couple of weeks ago, because the roots are all getting a little bit big, shall we say, underneath. Everything's all a bit jam-packed tight in this kit that I've got here. So this is the Hacks Nix root trainers, and if I can get these, you see the roots coming out the bottom there, they should have been out ages ago. Anyway, this is where these root trainers really start to help us out, because they should, in theory, just part open like that, and then I can take out the sweet corn complete with the big long roots, which is absolutely perfect. So there's very minimal, little to no damage on the root system there on the plant. So planting them out like I'm doing today is relatively straightforward. I'm just gonna dig a bit of, oops, we should use that Monty technique of digging the hole backwards. So relatively simple, and just grabbing any stones around here and getting rid of them. I say that the soil around here is absolutely full of stones, especially when it's sort of like this, where it gets dug over for the first time. There's loads of stones in it, so some fish blood and bone in the hole. We're going to give it a bit of a mix around there, just get it mixed in with the soil. And although that's sort of slow release nutrition, it's right there, going to be right there in and about those roots where we want it to be. So that's going to go in there. I'm going to backfill that, and in it goes. There we go, there's our first one. So I'm thinking, looking at the space that I've got here, I'm probably going to go 3 across and then 4 rows of 3, so we'll have 12 in total. That's what I'm going for at the moment. And the reason we're going to do them like that is sweet corn is wind pollinated. So as you can see today, we don't have too much trouble with wind. I know we're right behind the polytunnel here, which will give them a bit of shelter. The prevailing wind comes from the west, which is in that direction, where it's just to the rest of the plot, low beds and things like that. There is some potato buckets here that I can move out the way elsewhere. They're mobile, so they can go other places, and the wind should come across and blow the pollen about. And if you've got that grid system, instead of just in a big long straight row, you've got much more chance of the sweet corn being pollinated, because then you've got the pollen coming from all sorts of different directions as opposed to just in a straight line. So in theory, that's how it should work. We also last year had a bit of a trouble with rats. So there's, you know, no matter where you are in the world, there are rats nearby, and there was an issue with rats eating the sweet corn around here. Loads of people had different problems with it, and I've got a couple of ideas about how to solve that. But what I'll do is I'll get these all planted out, and I'll come back to you after I've got that done, and we'll have a little bit of a chat about how we're going to protect these plants from rats at the end there. So back with you in just a wee bit. Right, so that's the sweet corn just about finished, and I'm just tucked in here beside the polytunnel because it's still a bit windy, and I'm trying to stop the wind noise coming right across the microphone so it doesn't affect the video too much with a bit of luck. But we'll see how that works out. But let me just spin you around there, and you can sort of see the little section that we've got here. Some good news is it was slightly bigger than I thought, so I could fit 5 sort of rows in there. So we've got 5 rows of 3s going across, so they should hopefully kick into life anytime soon and start growing. I reckon within the next month to 6 weeks or so, we should start to see a little bit of life on the plants that are growing there. But we'll see how it goes anyway. So they've been planted in there. You saw me put the bloodfish and bone in there. I've also scattered some of the chicken manure pellets all the way over the top there, and I've given it a good watering in. Even though it's pretty wet, I want that nutrition to start breaking down as soon as possible and slowly seeping into that soil. I mean, that soil's not been used for about 18 months, but it's going to have no nutrition in it. It's going to be pretty poor. So let's get loads of feed in there for the sweet corn And throughout the next sort of few months, whilst it's growing, I'm going to be giving it different liquid feeds, but I'll come to that in different videos as and when I'm doing it. And as you can see there, just a bit of a laughy there, I've also managed to water my kneeling cushions. That's really, really helpful. That's got a little puddle of water in there. But one last thing I wanted to talk to you about was protecting your sweet corn. So I'll just come down on my honkers for it. And you remember me saying that we had an issue with rats. So the sweet corn will obviously go quite tall, but the rats can get it up in the sort of the cobs when they grow. Now there's two different things I've seen to help protect that. One is, let me spin you around. You don't need to see the sweet corn. One is to put old socks over the cobs when they start to grow. So I might give that a try on some of them. So when people come along here, I'm not doing my washing out on the allotment, you know, it's not out here to dry in the wind. It is actually protecting the sweet corns. And the other is you can use the top of, you know, a sort of juice bottle or a pop bottle or something like that. You can cut about the top quarter off it and put it around the stem of the plant, and that stops mice and rats and things being able to get up it, because they can't sort of get underneath and back over, and the plastic's all slippery and stuff. So we might give that a bit of a try as well. So I need to start saving the tops off the juice bottles so I can do that. Anyway, I think that's just about it for today. I'm going to go off and do some weeding now, because the wind and the rain and the weather and stuff we had recently, there's like a million weeds appeared all the way down there, and it looks absolutely horrendous. The soil's wet, so there's no point in trying to hold them, so I'm going to have to do some hand weeding, sort of pull it all out by hand. But hey, that's just one of the things you've got to do. Anyway, if you want to see how things get on around here, how things grow, how things don't grow, see how the sweet corn does, see if the rats come along and eat it or not, please think about subscribing. It's absolutely free. All you have to do is click the little button below. It doesn't cost you anything, and that's you subscribed. And if you click the little bell thing, it tells you every time I put a video out, and you can come along and have a watch. Anyway, I'm going to go off and do some weeding now, like I said, and that is me done for today. Thank you very much for watching, folks, and I will see you on the next one. Bye for now.